Hello fellow detectorists. Yes, what we have here today is the first one of, I hope, a few little technical videos that I will do from time to time. And today's one is mainly aimed at one of my online YouTube friends, because he's been having difficulties, we'll say, with tone discrimination, mainly iron, I should say, with Goldmaxx power. Anyway, I will show you today what I do, what I found out, and what I do about large iron. And I hope the tones come out okay on my phone whilst I'm videoing. I've got you sort of handheld at the moment, so I'm sorry if it moves around a bit. But anyway, first of all, the settings that I use, and I have been over this before, is, let's get down a bit. I normally have my iron threshold set at about 17, which is basically iron discrimination. The silencer switch is on 0 at the moment. I find if I go a little bit slower I can pick out better targets between iron nails and stuff like that, but usually most of the time I'll have it on number 1, but occasionally I'll put it on 0. Anyway, sensitivity. Now, the sensitivity control is on these Goldmaxx power machines, V4s, the latest version of them, is apparently a lot more sensitive than previous models. And literally from the red arrow, should you ever feel you need to turn it up that high, from the red arrow to the 12 o'clock position, there is a lot of adjustment. Most of the time I have it at about 12 o'clock or slightly just past, but I'll come back to that in a moment, with sensitivity. Anyway, iron volume. Now I like to know when I am in an iron area, so I normally have that quite high so that I can hear it. The ground control, I was using it on the red arrow, suggested red arrow position, but I find, or so I'm led to believe, you get a bit more depth if you turn it to about the 11 o'clock position. Anyway, I'll now show you the small test bed which I've set up here. Now, just here we have the hammered coin which I found earlier. As you can see it there. The next target is Georgian halfpenny, just there. The next target is a buckle. The next target is I believe it's an iron shotgun cartridge cap, and here we have a slightly older shotgun cartridge cap, which I believe is a copper one. Just here we have our iron nail, and of course just here we have the ploughshare, and I will be talking a bit more about ploughshares as well. Now, like I said before, I have got my CS4MXI here with me today, but firstly let's just go over these targets with the Goldmaxx power, and I hope you can hear the tones alright, because it's quite a quiet machine actually, unless you're using headphones. Anyway, just so that we know, I've been over this ground, I know it's not got any other targets here. That's on my spade. Now, first of all, the hammered coin, and you can just see it there next to that stick. I'll place sticks next to all the targets so I can see where they are easily. Now, as you can see and hear, it's a nice, crisp, short target or signal. And of course, ideally, that is what you're looking for when you're out detecting. Right, now we'll go on to the Georgian halfpenny. As you can see it there in the middle of the picture. Now, can you hear the tone change? I know it is very close, it is very slight, but can you hear the change? That's the Georgian halfpenny. And we'll go back over the hammered coin. Georgian halfpenny. Hammered coin. Now we're back over the halfpenny. Now, I know, like I said just now, it is very, very slight, but that is where you get your tone difference. When I first started using my Goldmaxx, it did really sound to me as though there was only two tones, either iron or good targets. But as you can see, and as you get more used to using it, you will hear a difference. It's hammered coin, halfpenny, hammered coin, halfpenny. Now I know I know when you're out detecting in the field they are very, very slight differences, but like a lot of videos and that I've watched, people say that you do get used to it. Halfpenny, hammered coin. Right, we'll go straight on past the halfpenny now, and down here, as you can see, I've got a buckle, which actually fairly closely sounds like the halfpenny. So the buckle and the halfpenny are very similar. Now we come to the new shotgun cartridge cap, and it should discriminate this out, or I should say discriminate it out so that it comes out like an iron tone, which it is. I know it's a very intermittent tone or sound, but that is coming through as an iron buzz. Now if we go over the old shotgun cartridge cap, the copper one, as you will hear, it gives you a good tone, or something which you would be more than happy to possibly dig. Now we'll go over the new shotgun cartridge cap again, and as you can hear, it tries to put it out as an iron tone. I know these are all very, very slight differences, but this is what we have to get used to. Now we will go over the iron nail, and as you can see at the end of that stick, there is the iron nail. Right, an obvious iron buzz. Which is what I wanted, really. It's what I wanted my CS4MXI to be able to do, is tell me where the iron was, because I have noticed that in the iron areas on my main permission field is where there is more concentration of fines, and it's these areas that I want to obviously concentrate on. But that is the iron buzz from the nail. Now we'll go on to the interesting part, the ploughshare. Now as you go over the ploughshare, you will get a good signal. Yes, it is a bit broken, if I come away from it slightly. Now, of course, if that was buried in the ground, you'd dig it. But if you think you're over a large target, which you could hear that as a large target, the best thing to do, if you want to double check yourself before you dig any holes, is to just go off the target. If you go use the edge of the coil, you can get the iron buzz come back again. Now that is a good way of knowing and finding out whether you are over a ploughshare or not. See, if you go straight over it, it will give you a good signal. But if you go to one side of it, it will give you the iron tone, which is a surefire way of knowing for sure whether you are over a good or a bad target. Now, one thing I did want to say about the ploughshares, and that is, you will not, no metal detector will discriminate out a ploughshare, because it is not iron. For a start, I know that might surprise a lot of you, but ploughshares aren't iron. The very early ones were, but so I believe. I was researching it on the internet, and I think somewhere about the 1700s, maybe earlier, the ploughshares and the ploughs that the farmers were building were iron. They were, but from about the, I believe it's the 1600s or 1700s onwards, they started experimenting with putting carbon, blasting carbon into the furnaces when they were making iron, and mixing the two together produced steel. Excuse me. And it was this steel which they started making things like ploughshares out of, because obviously it was a lot stronger. It didn't break, it didn't crack, it was a lot stronger. So nowadays, most of the time, you will be finding ploughshares which have got a certain percentage of carbon in the iron, which they class as steel. So I hope that explains a little bit about ploughshares. It also explains the fact why you can be detecting away most of the day, and suddenly you'll get one nail which you'll end up digging up because your detector didn't discriminate it out, and you spend most of the day wondering why you get these odd nails which don't seem to get discriminated out, and that is because they are steel. They have got a certain amount of steel in with the iron. Yes, they still look rusty, but a lot of the time they are a mix of iron and carbon which produces steel. But anyway, I hope that sort of, see, as you go straight over the top of it, you will get a good signal. But if you go to one side of it, if you've got any idea that you might be over a ploughshare or a large target, just go to one side of it. And you will see that it's not a good signal. Anyway, here's the iron nail again. Obvious iron buzz. The copper shotgun cartridge cap gives a good signal, of course. The iron one is a very sort of faint iron buzz, because I think that's possibly steel as well. It's got a certain amount of carbon in with the iron. Yeah, iron. And then the buckle, and the Georgian halfpenny, and then the hammered coin will be a different tone. Just to go over those last two again, it's hammered coin, halfpenny. Anyway, I hope this has helped a little bit towards realising the different tones. It is a 3-tone machine, but the tones are very close together. I just wish really I had the access to a C.Scope CS4MXI so that I could have a go of one of those and their tone discrimination and iron volume controls on the CS6 as well, because I should imagine it's a very similar machine to the Goldmaxx, just slight differences which you have to get used to. But anyway, like I said, I hope that's been a bit helpful. Now then folks, as promised, I will give you the C.Scope CS4MXI's version of these finds and test bed which I've laid out on the ground down here. Now, just to quickly go over my settings, what's the best view? Something like that. The ground control on my CS4, I've never ever used it. I've always had it in auto, so I can't really comment on that. The sensitivity control, I've never had any problem with the ground control in auto. I found, as you know, lots of lovely stuff with this detector, and that's the way I've always been happy to use it. Anyway, sensitivity. I was using it at point of threshold, where you turn it up and you get the background tone and then you just back it off slightly. But I found with very low discrimination that you will dig every iron nail possible. So what I discovered was that if I back it off to about the number 6 is where I normally use it. Now, discrimination is, I literally turn it off and turn it back on again and get as close to the number 1 as I can, and that's all the discrimination I give it. Discrimination number 2, because the CS4 has 2 discrimination controls, I have on number 7 or number 8, so that if you want to, as you can see here by the switch, you've got a pinpoint feature, so pinpointing targets. It's by default it's in discrimination 1, which you're using it in all the time, and then if you find a target that you're a bit doubtful about, you can flick it and hold it in discrimination 2, which switches over obviously to discrimination 2, and that will just tell you if you're a bit unsure about a particular target, gives you a little bit more information. Anyway, we'll go over this test bed and we'll see what the CS4 makes of it. Now, I don't think it will be any surprise actually. Here's the hammered coin. Lovely clear signal. The Georgian halfpenny. Now, again, lovely clear signal. Of course you don't get no tone discrimination with the CS4. You do the CS6, and I really do wish I had one to try this out on, but anyway, you never know your luck. Christmas is coming. That's the Georgian halfpenny. Here's the buckle, the Tudor buckle. Exactly the same tone. The iron shotgun cartridge cap, and as you can see, it almost, if I come up a little bit, it almost discriminates that out, and which is good, of course. And the old shotgun cartridge cap, which is basically an iron one, basically a copper one, of course you're going to get a strong signal off of that. The iron nail discriminates that out lovely. No sound from the iron nail whatsoever. which is the one thing which I did love about the CS4MXI. Discrimination on this machine is really good. But then we come to the ploughshare, and as I described earlier, the ploughshare, you will not discriminate it out. It just comes through. In actual fact, you do get a very slight tone change. I know it's hard to believe with the CS4, but it's such an overpowered tone. You could, you know, as you're detecting with the CS4, and again you get used to the CS4, you will know when you're over at a large target and whether you're over something which might be big, you know, a big iron target or a big steel target, something which you're not likely to really want to find. So we'll just go back again. The ploughshare, the iron nail discriminates it out lovely. The copper shotgun cartridge cap, the iron shotgun cartridge cap, almost. If I turn the discrimination up, because I have got it very low, if I turned it up a little bit I'd probably blank that out completely. The Tudor buckle, Georgian halfpenny, and the hammered coin. So there you have it. That is the CS4 over the same test bed as the Goldmaxx Power. Now, of course, the difference I get with the Goldmaxx Power is it really is to quote somebody else's phrase, it's an information machine, the Goldmaxx Power. It will tell you more information. It will give you more information of what's going on under the ground than you will get with the CS4MXI. But the CS4MXI really is, it's a great machine. It's a great turn on and go machine. It's got a few extra controls for you to experiment with and play around with if you choose to do so. But when I'm out and I'm using my Goldmaxx, I do feel as though it's just telling me that little bit more. But each to their own. I mean, you might not want to know that extra information, which is fair enough. But anyway, like I said, I'll do a very quick depth test with both machines now, just on a Georgian halfpenny, and we'll see what that turns out. Bye for now. Hello folks, right then, I've just dug the hole. As you can see here, it's a nice deep hole. Now I know, because I've measured it for our own personal guide before, I know that my Garrett Pro Point is 9 inches long. So that hole is definitely 9 inches deep. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the Georgian halfpenny right at the bottom. I'm going to lay it flat like that, and then we'll backfill it. Now I know this isn't a good test because the ground over the top has been broken, has been fluffed up, but this ground where I am was quite firm. Now first of all, I'm going to try the Goldmaxx Power. Now this is in my normal settings, that I would use on the field. Let's try this. Here's our hole. See if it finds the Georgian halfpenny. I hope you can hear that, and it does quite easily. I mean, I would dig that target, no doubt. Now that was an easy 9 inches Georgian halfpenny, and that is on those settings. Now let's just try. I'll try turning the silencer up to 0, and I'll try turning the sensitivity up to the red arrow. Sorry, I'm trying to do all this one-handed. So put the silencer on 0, and I'll put the sensitivity up to the red arrow. That should, as you can see, that should give the machine a better chance. Even though it's already detected the halfpenny, I just want to see whether it's a clearer signal. Right, there's our hole, or filled in hole. Yeah, no trouble at all. It is a slightly better tone, but not by much. So I'll change it back again. I'll put the silencer back onto number 1, and I'll turn the sensitivity back up to the 12 o'clock position. Oh, was it? No, sorry, it was the 1 o'clock position, wasn't it? So just show you that again. Sensitivity back on 1, or number 1 o'clock. Silencer back on number 1. The ground control is at 11. Iron volume is at about 3 o'clock position, and the iron threshold is on 17. That's a good signal. I would definitely dig that. Right, that's the Goldmaxx power. Let's put that down, and we'll get the C.Scope CS4. Now, the settings on the CS4 are exactly the same as what I had it when I was doing my little test bed. Sensitivity on 6. Discrimination on just above the number 1. So we'll see what that does. Here's our filled in hole. No problem at all. Now that is the CS4MXI on a Georgian halfpenny at 9 inches. So as you've just seen, both machines did that perfectly okay. Now 9 inches, that's good enough for me, folks. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Goldmaxx and the CS4 would have picked up that Georgian halfpenny at 10 inches. The signal's coming through nice and clear on both of them. So there you are, there you have it. Bye for now. It was mainly aimed at one, like I said before, one individual out there, and I will give you 2 or 3 of his most famous quotes. Number 1 is, "You fool!" Another one is number 2, "Wah, wah, 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 wah." And number 3, normally, when he finds a Victorian halfpenny or penny, you would possibly hear him say, "Good day to you, ma'am." But I should imagine this person, and a few of you out there will know who I'm talking about. But anyway, bye for now. I hope that's been helpful to more than just one person anyway. See you again soon.